Ah, yes, gentlemen. Hello. Happy Tuesday, February 25th. The time is 11:25 a.m. And gonna go see my mom after this. She's making us some food. Pretty solid news. I passed the exam, baby. Passed the exam. 70% was the passing rate. I got 88%. Not bad. There were multiple choice questions. I only missed one of those. And then it was a couple written questions and a couple audio questions. So as you can imagine, those they graded a little harshly, but still pretty proud of my performance. So I've moved on to the job search portion of the course. So I just got the news yesterday that I passed. So I'm gonna be bringing my laptop over to my mom's place so I could begin the job search phase. So things are cooking. Yeah, the ball is rolling. I appreciate you boys for being patient with me throughout this phase. Yeah, I know the content itself has dropped off a bit, but this is all kind of an investment into a better reality for myself and then of course ultimately for the channel. So yeah, once I'm able to land a better job, firstly, need to be Monday through Friday. That's the first criteria. What up, Jay? And then secondly, obviously, if it could be remote, man, I don't know if I'll be that picky starting out because I imagine it's a pretty tough market to get into. But if I can land a remote job, hybrid I'd be happy with, but remote that would just be life changing for me at this point. So yeah, really hoping for that. So I'll be getting to applying pretty soon. I got to do the job. They have a few more modules to go through with the job search, but then yeah, we'll get to applying. Yeah. So yeah, other news. I got my bicycle decked out for DoorDash. So I have a couple items clamped on the bike, a light, phone mount, bike rack, so that I can start doing deliveries as well. I probably won't be doing much of those until I got the ball rolling in the job search, but yeah, things are cooking. All right, so you see the title. I suck at night game. I'm actually trash. I'm terrible when it comes to going out and making things happen with girls in nightlife environments, nightlife venues. I'm actually so bad. And it's funny, almost every time I go out, I am reminded of this because of the lack of results that I end up getting. Yeah, so it's funny because this issue, the title of this video, is what prompted me to reach out to Christian. Yeah, what is it, 2 years ago now, is I was swiping on apps. Of course, as you boys probably know, no results there. Yeah. And then I was going out whenever I could manage to build up the courage to go out, because oftentimes I had to go out on my own. Sometimes I had my roommate and a couple of friends that we'd go out, but that honestly I did better on my own because they were just completely antisocial, like not knowing how to interact with people. At least I was a little better on my own. But even then, I'd go out on my own. It was just terrible results. Yeah. So oftentimes, and the best part is the guys I'm going out with, they're actually like sick. Yeah, they're good. They're loud. They're fun. But yeah, I'm just no good at it. Yeah, which is why I've recognized now this is a big reason why I lean towards day game. Yeah, this is why I wanted to learn cold approach. It fit my personality a lot better, and we'll go through why in this video. You'll hear why, but just to summarize, I'm not a very loud person. Yeah, if you see me in public, the loudest part about me is the fact that I'm walking over to the girl in public. That's the loudest part about me. I'm a lot more like keep to myself. Yeah, I mean, I nod at people when I pass them. I say good morning, but that's about like I'm not a very socially outgoing kind of a person. I really just pull that out of myself when I want to walk over to the girl. That's like the only time I use that part of me. Otherwise, and now and then I'll strike up conversation and I'll talk to the cashier, but I'm not a very loud person, which is what I've learned. It really comes to bite you in the back when you are going out during the nighttime. You got to be pretty loud. And also, Joseph made a few great points when I messaged him. I was literally still, off 3 or 4 beers after the night, waiting at the bus stop, going home alone. Right? It was like 1 a.m. and I was like, dude, what am I doing? I suck at this. Like, what am I missing here? So let's go through the night together. All right. So firstly, wasn't planning on going out by any means. At this point, the only time I go out is when somebody invites me out and I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Why not? I can go out. It's been a while. I don't go out on my own. I don't even reach out to my friends to try to go out with them. I'm just pretty heads down at the moment. Work home, see the girl that I'm seeing, and study the course. That's pretty much my life at this point. And then of course the occasional live stream that I'll pump out. So so I got what was it? Was it Friday? No, it must have been Friday. Yeah, it was Friday night and I was doing the exam. That's when I took the exam. Just got my results yesterday. So Friday night, my friend texts me around 3 p.m. or so. Hey, do you have any plans tonight? I go, no, I'm just doing this final exam. Then he goes, oh, okay, come out with us after. Yeah, we'll hang out. We'll have a beer. We'll celebrate that you did your final sales course exam. And I was like, okay, for sure. So initially I was promised a very chill night out. Yeah, the way that this man framed it was, all right, yeah, come out. I'll have a few of the guys out. We'll just have a beer. We'll chop it up and just have a decent time. Yeah. So I by no means did I think I would go on this full excursion, which you guys are going to hear about throughout this live stream. I genuinely thought it was just going to be a laid back kind of night out. We're drinking, just talking about nothing in particular. But let's narrate how this went. So I finished the exam right around 9 p.m. I text my friend, all right, I'm done. Where you guys at? Sends me his location. He says he's in Nob Hill. He'll walk over to Union Square. That's where I'm living now. So we could check out a few venues near me. And I say, okay, that sounds good. I go to McDonald's, get myself a little $5 meal. Yeah, something quick, something cheap, easy. And as I get dressed, he texts me. He says, all right, we just pulled up at the venue. Come by. So the venue's very close, probably like I'm not even kidding, like a 30-second walk from my apartment. Just a side note, one of the things I love about San Francisco, one of the things that if you're looking to get into cold approach or just having a more fun dating life, I certainly recommend that you move to a city, at least for like a year or two. Move to a city where things are nearby. Yeah, I don't even have my car with me. I just parked it at my mom's. I'm going to try to sell it. Yeah, so you don't even need a car out here. So anyways, so I meet them at the venue. All right. So all is normal so far. So I walk into the venue, pretty dead, right? They didn't know either. This is their first time at the venue. They just picked one close to me, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So pretty dead inside the venue. I go and meet them. They're sitting at a table in the back. There's three of them. So it's my friend and one of his roommates and one of his roommates' friends or something like that, right? One of the guys I had already met, and then the other guy I just met, so introduced myself. So within 30 seconds of me getting to this venue, they tell me, all right, this bar's dead. We're going to hit another place. We just met this Australian guy. They point to this tall ass Australian guy, right? This is going to be a main character in the story. And they go, yeah, we're going to kick it with this Australian guy. He's got these girls with him, blah, blah, blah. We're going to follow them to this venue. So I'm just getting bombarded with information, right? I thought I was going to sit down and have a beer. I was like, wait, are we not going to at least have a beer here? He's like, no, it's dead. Let's go. Let's keep it going. All right. So he hands me his Modelo that he just cracked open. He's like, here, just chug this. So I start drinking that. We're sharing the beer like scrubs, right? And and so we start walking out of the venue. All right. So far I haven't been introduced to anybody. I just got there, just met, my friend, the two guys he's with, and I introduced myself to the new guy I'd never met. And then the Australian guy's like, all right, come on. Are we going? Are we going? And he's trying to usher us out, right? And so he's got this little posse with him. So he's got two girls with him. Well, initially it was like 5 or 6 girls. And then it dwindled down to 2 girls, right? So I had no clue what was going on. I was along for the ride. I was like, whatever. So we walk out of the bar, all right, and we start walking along the San Francisco sidewalks to the next venue. This is when there's like 6 girls total, right? So there's like 4 girls huddled in a group and then these 2 other girls. So I was under the assumption that Australian guy knew everybody and was orchestrating this all, but I learned very quickly that he was just a very socially capable guy that knew what he was doing, knew how to make friends quickly, knew how to coordinate things and gather people together and pick the next venue and stuff. All things that that night I was like, wow, I have no clue what I'm doing, right? This guy's running the ship. This guy knows what he's doing. This guy's way louder, way more sociable. So I very quickly kind of fall to the back of the pack. Yeah. So it's like I'm talking there's the 2 girls in front of us, and then me and the new guy that I just met. and we're talking. Now, my friend's roommate, he's very loud and outgoing and sociable, so he's kind of in the front leading the pack as well. The other four girls that I never even spoke to, they were just in the front kind of like doing their own thing. So it was already this interesting dynamic, yeah. And so we're kind of going back and forth, falling in place as we walk, talking to different people. So I'm getting to know the girls in front of us. Turns out one of them is Austrian and the other one is from Kansas. Yeah, I remember from Kansas. I was calling her Kansas all night. So that this was a somewhat of a highlight of the night. Was it was fun getting to know new people and walking to the next venue. But once again, I found myself thinking like, dude, what am I doing? Like, I guess to be fair, I was out for a fun night out and not necessarily to get laid, which is another big portion of this story that Joseph helped me realize. But still, I found myself going, I don't really like being in the position where I'm not calling the shots, or at least I don't have much of a say. I don't really like being at the back of a pack and just blindly following people around, not really knowing what I'm doing. And I guess we're just trying to get to the next venue. But even that, I was like, all right, I could have just stayed home. I'm not really getting much out of this experience right now. So we rock up to the next venue that this Australian guy picked out. Keep in mind, this guy, we got to paint an accurate picture. This guy's like 6'3", yeah, skinny frame, but he's got some cool clothes on, some nice dress clothes on, like a button up and stuff, and some slacks. And he is just the most loud, socially capable guy I've met in a while, right? Where, after I'm introducing myself, he's already pretty much made best friends with everybody in this little group that we've got going. And I'm learning now. I don't really go out much anymore, but the times that I do go out, I'm learning more and more now that the power is in just chatting shit. Yeah, just not even talking about anything in particular, but just talking and giving overreactions to whatever is being said. So like I remember plenty of times as we're walking and talking about nothing in particular, Australian guy says one thing that's like kind of a joke, and then the group is laughing, overly laughing, right? And then another person says something that's kind of a joke or just kind of witty, and then the Australian guy is like doing this verbose, like over laugh kind of a thing. But what I am noticing though is it's keeping the vibe good, right? So although I'm in the back witnessing all of this, talking to the one guy and a couple of the girls, but I'm just thinking that wasn't even that funny. Like what are we doing here? I'm realizing it's less about what the actual content of the conversation, and it's more about the overall vibe. So it's like if this guy wasn't here leading the pack, right, Mr. Australia, it would have been a lot more boring because it would have been a lot less conversation, a lot less energy. I guess that's a big one, right? We talk about this in Cold Approach a lot. Maybe I should take some of my own notes, right? Energy. There would have been a lot less energy to feed off of. So it was less about what was being said and how actually funny or unfunny or witty it was, and it was more about the fact that something was being said, something was being contributed. There was positive vibes going around, and so I'm just soaking all this up, right? All right. So anyways, so we get to the first venue that Australian guy led us to, right? Name was Sam, so we'll call him Sam. Turns out it was a restaurant, and we didn't know this when we were looking it up on Google Maps, but it was a restaurant and they were trying to have us seated and stuff. And so we're like, oh, fuck that. We're not doing that. Right. So this is where we lose the first four girls, right? So remember, there's like six girls at first. Four of them just go to the restaurant, and my friends and I look at each other and we're like, dude, what are we doing here? We're not trying to like, firstly, these girls aren't girls that we're trying to hit on anyways. Secondly, we don't want to sit down at a restaurant and have a tab and shit. We're looking to have a night out, right? So we decide we're going to keep walking. What up, D1? Oh, what up, D1? Mo's in the chat. Yes, we'll go into these comments. So D1 says, night game is tough. You have to find spots where lots of people are standing, but if you go to a club, it's way too loud, which I hate because you can't have intelligent convo. He says, yep, you got to have someone with good energy if it's not you. I hated going out in Portland because none of my friends there were very energetic. Was always a weird vibe when we went out. Yeah, so to your points, D1, this is something I gleaned from Joseph later on, the next day, I guess, when he replied was he was mentioning that you should almost be having no conversation, yeah, let alone intelligent conversation. And so that was a big pointer for me. I was like, wow, like I've experienced this before, but where I go out and I have decent success, meaning I'm actually able to chat to some girls and dance with some girls, but I guess there's like another echelon to this, which is there should be almost no conversation, no like coherent conversation at all. It should almost all just be like vibes. You know what I mean? Like like what I recognized there was the conversation didn't even matter. Whatever was being said, it was like how the person was saying it. Yeah. So it was like whatever he could have been speaking another language that nobody understood. But because he said it with so much energy and authority and conviction, and then he laughed after he said it, right? It's like everybody else kind of just followed along, and I was like, this is just interesting how this works, because there's no other arena in the I mean, no other place that I've experienced other than nightlife venues can you just say random shit and everybody just kind of go along with it just for the fun of it. I mean, I guess aside from if you're in a big group, I guess it's just group mentality in general. Maybe it doesn't even just have to be nightlife. Like I imagine when I've been with my family or a big group of family at a certain venue or party or whatever, it doesn't even have to be in the nighttime. But if somebody says something, just to keep it not awkward, everybody replies in a certain way. I don't know how to explain it. We'll go more into this, but yeah, I think that's a great comment, D1. So getting back into the story, right? So we leave the four girls at the restaurant, whatever. Sam is like convinced that he's gonna be sticking with us that night. He's like he thinks he's found his group. To be fair, we're all smooth guys, right? Good looking guys. I was probably one of the quietest people, though, interestingly enough, which for me is expected. I don't know if the viewer expects that from the guy that walks over to the girl boldly in public, but yeah, I'm actually not the most outgoing person. Yeah, I can just kind of get over my fear. That's like a different skill. But when it comes to being boisterous and loud and kind of taking the spotlight off of everybody else and putting it on I'm not really good at that. Yeah, so we walk over to the next venue. Same deal, right? Kind of like pairs of people on the sidewalk. You know, it's not wide enough for all seven of us or so. So we're kind of breaking off, falling back and forth between people, talking to different people. Right now, I'm talking to my friends. Now I'm joking with the two girls. They were kind of inseparable during the night. I think they were friends, like they knew each other since I think they said childhood, taking a trip to San Francisco together. And I remember, so we get to the next venue, right? Same deal. I'm not making any of these decisions. I'm just along for the ride. I'm like, for sure, I guess we're going here now. Okay, yep, yeah, we're going there now. And my friend that invited me out, he's trying to like, he's kind of fighting with Sam for the captain position of the group, right? He's like, no, we're going here. Sam's like, no, let's go here, ladies, come on, let's go here. And so we get to this next venue, but they were charging a cover, man. So Sam was trying to go in with the girls, and my friend and I, the one who invited me out, we were looking at each other like, dude, we're not paying 20-30 bucks to get into this venue, which looks like it's dead anyways, just to spend more money on drinks, this and that. Let's just go somewhere else. So we decide that we're going to hop on a bus to North Beach. And so Sam and the girls, they didn't want to get lost alone by themselves in that venue. So they decide to come with us. So this has already been, I mean, it's already been like 30-45 minutes. I got there. I thought I was going to have a beer and sit down and chat with my buddies, but no, now we're on this whole excursion, right? So we walk over to the nearest bus stop and we head to North Beach. All right. But there's a story in itself on the fucking bus trip that happened. All right. So, firstly, we stumble on the bus. They're all more drunk than me, right? I had half a beer that I drank with my friend. They had already gone to a few different venues and stuff, so they were more tipsy than I was. So we stumble onto this bus. Yeah, we go sit in the back. All of us are kind of huddled together in this back area. A couple different things happen. Firstly, um, you could tell that we were like the drunk people on the bus. Yeah. So as I was looking around, I'm looking at middle-aged ladies and like these old guys and stuff. And honestly, of all ages, just trying to get home from work. Yeah. I'm like looking around, it's just people look like they just clocked off of work. They're just trying to get home. All of a sudden, this big, loud, boisterous group comes into the bus and starts yelling and having a good time and stuff. So I'm looking around, just observing a lot of this, like, wow, interesting. Now, a lot of the conversation on this bus, I was pretty silent on. So I think this is a big missed opportunity for me. Looking back on the night, this is kind of where I like reclused into more of an introverted shell. So on the bus, they were just so loud. I didn't even know how to assert myself into the conversation without having to like yell at the top of my lungs to be heard and stuff. And the conversation they were having wasn't really anything in particular, anyways. It was just like, what's your favorite type of alcohol? You're like tequila. Oh my God, you're a nerd. You like, oh, I like bourbon. Oh, you're like, and it was like that kind of conversation where I was like, shit, I mean, I guess I could yell out my favorite too, but I don't maybe I just wasn't drunk enough. I don't know. I guess this is just isn't my personality. Once again, at the end, we're gonna talk about kind of things that I learned. Joseph helped me realize. But yeah, I just found myself kind of at a loss for words on this bus trip. I was kind of like we're making eye contact with my friend that invited me out, and we are kind of like, what's going on right now? They're drunk. They seem very drunk. At one point, a lady on the bus literally taps my friend on the shoulder and he goes, "You guys need to be nicer. All right. You were really mean to this guy." I guess there's when we came into the bus, something must have happened. They were making fun of, drunk people making fun of some person on the bus. And she was like, "People are having a hard time out here. You guys need to be nicer." My friend's apologizing. "Look, I totally agree with you. I'm sorry. I didn't see what happened, but they need to be nicer, yada, yada." So I don't know. And then I started talking with the lady. I was like, "Yeah, honestly, they are just very drunk. So apologize for whatever went down." So you see, we're getting into skirmishes on the bus all of a sudden, and then I haven't introduced the new character. So there's this new guy. I don't even remember his name, but there's this new guy that was sitting on the bus that ended up sitting next to, and the people that I was with roped him into the conversation at one point, and then he ended up coming out to the next venue with us. Yeah. So another thing I'm learning with this nighttime stuff is that nothing is there are no rules. Just like in just like in the daytime environments, in nighttime there still are no rules. Yeah. So it's like all of a sudden this guy went from a stranger to like coming along to the next venue with us, and I was like, that's cool how that just happened. That's cool how Sam the Australian was able to lasso this guy into our group just by virtue of having good vibes and like talking with the guy briefly and just chatting shit, having no just having fun, I guess. And then he ends up asking, "Where are you going?" And then the guy says, "Oh, I'm going to this place in Soma, yada yada yada." And so my friends and Sam, they're like, "All right, just come with us. We're going to this spot in North Beach. Yeah, come with us. It'll be totally fun." And it's funny because this is Sam's first time in, I imagine from what he told us, like he hadn't been out in San Francisco much. He was just on a trip here, right? So he didn't even know where the fuck North Beach was, or like what was out in North Beach, what venue we were going to. But still, he's able to just confidently say, "It'll be so fun. Trust me, that we're going to a sick venue. It'll be so fun." Yeah, and I'm like, dude, I'm realizing a lot of this is just like making shit up. Yeah, just lying about how fun it's going to be, but just knowing that you are the fun. Yeah, just bringing people along and making the fun. So it's like, well, I guess wherever we go, it'll be fun because I'm here, right? That kind of energy. So, anyways, this guy comes along with us, so now he's a part of the group all of a sudden. So we walk into this venue. This is a venue I've been to before. This North Beach spot. If you're familiar with San Francisco, you'll know there's this main strip of bars in North Beach that a lot of people go to, right? Like the main area in North Beach. So we end up rocking into this bar, right? And then this was like the low point in the night for me. So before we go into it, let's read some of the comments. D1 says, "Yeah, you got to have someone with good energy." Oh yeah, we read that one. He says, "I'm so bad at group combos like this. Sometimes so very interested to hear what you glean from the night." Oh, yeah, yeah. What I gleaned is that I think you got to pick your environment. Yeah, like I guess the main because I ended up, I guess we'll get into this briefly and then we'll get into it more at the end of the story. But at the end of the night, like I said, I was alone at the bus stop, 1 a.m., ready to bus home, and I pulled out my phone. I went on WhatsApp and I just told Joseph. So the next day, some part of the advice that he gave me was, "Dude, it sounds like that just wasn't your environment." Because I was asking, like, "All right, what am I doing wrong here? What am I missing? Do I just need to be louder and assert myself more and talk more and blah, blah, blah?" And then he just goes, "Dude, part of this is like, maybe that's just not the environment for you. Yeah, maybe the loud, frat energy, boisterous kind of vibe is not yours." Yeah, and I have to agree because I'm not the most outspoken, loud, boisterous kind of a person who can just break into like silly dance randomly and just yell and go. I don't know. I'm not that outgoing. I think this is one of the biggest reasons why I ended up just getting so excited when I discovered Christian's channel, because I was like, wait a second, you mean I could shortcut? So this is what I mean. Another detour. When we talk about day game as a shortcut, right? It's not a shortcut meaning you're a guy that nobody would like. You look in the mirror and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm a creature. I smell bad. I'm not groomed at all, right? I'm 400 pounds overweight, no social skills, whatever." It's not a shortcut for that guy. There is no fucking shortcut for that guy. You got to buy a hooker at that point. Yeah. When I say daytime approach is a shortcut, I mean that I even 2 years ago, like I told you boys, I already looked like this. Yeah. Social skills were already more or less in the same place they are now because I already had a bunch of sales experience by that point. So it was a shortcut for me because it allowed me to not have to like pretend to be somebody when going out at night. It allowed me to not have to go and drink all this alcohol and meet all these people and kind of be fake to who I actually am, which is I'm not the loud, boisterous guy that runs around and yells and shit. I'm just not. I could try to be, if it means getting laid, I guess I could try to do that, but it's difficult for me. So it allowed me to short circuit that whole experience by instead of having to find people to go out with, going out with them, putting on this whole performance where I got to be loud and this and that. Yeah, go being loud with other people and meeting other people and just doing all this theatrics. Like to be fair, those guys that may have been that in their environment, right? So it's like they might have not been faking any of it. That might actually be their personality. But for me, it's incongruent because that it just isn't mine, right? I'm actually a very reserved person. So it's a daytime is a shortcut for me because I didn't have to kind of play into this whole, all right, we got to go out, we got to get drunk, we got to be loud, we got to find girls, we got to entertain the girls somehow and this and that. Instead, I could just go straight from where I was in the day to walk straight over to the girl that I liked that I may have seen her in the bar, but if I saw her in the bar, it would have been this entire thing where I had to, oh, I got these friends with me. Now we're being loud. Now I'm inviting her on the dance floor. Some guys might be sick at that, right? They might be great at doing that. I'm just not, right? So for me, seeing the girl in public in various environments throughout the day, and then just walking over to her like that was just so much easier for me because I'm like, wow, I don't have to be like super loud, super animated, super boisterous. Like you go watch my infields, and it's like of course you're seeing each video in isolation, but it's like I'm kind of just walking over. I'm not even that loud, except the excuse me is the loudest part of the conversation. I'm going, excuse me. And then she stops and I'm like, hey, you look good. You're beautiful. What's going on? It's like, that's all I really need to do rather than having to, I don't know, put on a performance. I feel like I was having to try to put on a performance when I was at these bars. And so now let's get back to the story and then we'll get back into D1's comments. All right. Thanks for being engaged, D1. I appreciate it. Well, let's see. He says that's another thing that sucks about night game and clubs: stupid covers, long lines, expensive drinks. Yeah, that's no fun. No fun. All right, we'll save your last comment for the next phase, the next checkpoint of the story. All right. So we're in this new bar, right? We got the whole squad with us. You remember the two original girls from Austria and from Kansas. And then we got a friend that invited me out, his roommate and his roommate's friend. And then we got Mr. Australia, yeah, who was pretty much just facilitating the whole thing, just leading everybody right back. His hand was on everyone's back as he was guiding us into the venue. And I was like, this guy he's sick. He knows what he's doing. I wish I had this level of, that's the thing, it's like, do we call it confidence? I want to say confidence, but then I think, well, I wonder if he'd be willing to walk over to a girl in the daytime like I am, right? So it's like, maybe it's like a different type of confidence, maybe, to be fair, the answer could be yes. He might be killer at that too. But, I wonder if like he'd freeze up in that environment. But then when it comes to, night venues, taking a shot and then ushering everybody to the next venue and being loud, he's just really good at that. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's kind of like you just pick your strengths kind of a thing. That's what I'm learning. But look, so we're at this venue, all right? So we're huddled around the bar. People are buying shit. I end up buying a beer for myself. Someone Venmos me money to buy more beers for him and his. So I'm like, all right, for sure. So I buy a couple of beers. He Venmoed me like way more money than I paid. So I was like, all right, that's sick. I just got paid to drink. I'll take that. And then a couple shots going around. Right? I didn't take any shots. I knew I had work the next day. I was like, I'm not trying to get too aggressive right now. So I'm kind of nursing the beer. I end up having another beer after that. Trying not to get too sauced. All right. And the people that I'm with, right, same thing, where somehow they're just having fun in the very mundane conversation that they're having, but it's just because of how they're saying it and how loud they're saying it. One thing I noticed is like every time I would speak, even though I'm trying to be loud, whoever I'm talking to had to like literally lean their head in, like lean their ear towards me as if to say, I can't hear you. So you imagine we're in a venue, they're playing like loud, real loud music, classic music, rock music, indie music, that kind of stuff, but it's like live and it's real loud. All right. So once again, an environment that I kind of shrivel in these environments. I really shrink because one, I just don't have a very naturally loud, booming voice. Even when I'm trying to be loud, knowing I'm going to give myself a sore throat when I wake up the next day, people still can't seem to hear me, right? They're still leaning in. If I want to say something to somebody, I really got to get close and get in their ear and stuff. And yeah, just interesting. So what happened at this bar? So the friend that invited me out ended up seeing a girl that he had hooked up with on Hinge. All right. So this girl was out with all of her friends, and so this put an interesting pivot in the night because he kind of just fucked off and was hanging out with this girl, but still near us. So we were kind of in the corner now, just trying to talk to each other. I don't even know what we were doing. And there are plenty of people around us, plenty of people talking around us, but once again, I feel inadequate in these conditions. It's not like I've walked up to the girl a million times on the sidewalk like I've done, right? So it's I feel a little smaller in these environments. And I remember I even walked over to my friend at one point. I was like, dude, introduce us to her friends. Yeah, like fuck you doing? You got your boys with you here. She's got her girls with her right there. Like, give us an introduction. Yeah. So the girl that he's talking to gives us like a half introduction to her friends. And then they kind of like close off the circle once again, as if to say, we don't want to talk to you guys. So that was the first L, right? I was like, all right, so we're 0 for 1 there. Fuck. Well, at least I tried something, right? Then at some point I go find Australia guy. He's on the dance floor, just life of the party. And so I kind of try to join him. But then once again, I'm like, I don't know how to dance. I'm not doing it in a confident way. Um, I end up, let's see, what else happened there? Dude that we met on the bus, he kind of just fades away. I don't know where he ended up going, but he was talking to a couple people, a couple guys that are like that were at a table, and then I never saw him again throughout the night. So I imagine he just said fuck this and went home, or whatever he did. Right, probably went to the initial place he was going. And then my friend that invited me out, he ends up finding me again in the bar, and he goes, "Bro, where have you been?" I was like, "Where the fuck have you been?" I don't know. He's like, "All right, the girl that I was talking to, she just left with her friends, so let's go find some girls." And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds good. Now you're speaking my language, yeah." So we end up going to the dance floor, and same deal, right? It's like I'm very unequipped in these environments. I actually just don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So like I'm dancing, I'm having a good time, but like he's like pointing at these different girls and stuff, right? At first, I'm the way that I'm thinking about it is like cold approach, right? So I put my arm around him. I'm like, all right, there's two girls behind us. Like, let's turn around, let's talk to them. Yeah. And of course, it's not computing that they're not going to be able to fucking hear us anyways. Yeah. So it's like, what does that even mean? That's something that I've done with a friend out in public in the daytime, right? Is like, I'm like, all right, those two, I'm gonna go say what's up, and then you just come and talk to them after with me. But that's because like my superpower, which is boldness plus just random fun conversation skills, that superpower doesn't really fucking work in a loud club where music is banging and shit, right? So it's like, yeah, I guess the approach can work, but there's actually nothing to be said. And so what I learned after the fact, Joseph is telling me, he's like, "Yeah, dude, you're doing this shit all wrong, man. You gotta go grab him and just start dancing on him and stuff." And I'm like, "Damn, is that how you do it? Like, is that how you get?" And I think back on it, and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess the few times that I've had a little bit of success in a club where I actually was just I ended up making out with a girl on a few separate occasions, right? That's about as far as it's gone for me. I felt up a girl, I've made out with a few girls, and then it's never gone past that from a club or a bar, literally in my life. And so, but the few times where I did make it to that stage was when I literally just grabbed the girl and started dancing with her, pulled her in and said, "What's your name?" and started dancing with her. It's like it is that kind of level of aggression. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I guess he's right. Yeah. I should have been doing something like that all along. So we're on the dance floor, right? And it's like I'm kind of getting signs that a girl is interested in me because she'll be dancing near me, then she'll be getting closer to me, right? Her back is to me. And so he's kind of pointing like, just start grinding on her. But I just couldn't get myself to do it. Yeah, I was just scared. Yeah, I was like, oh geez, the feeling of rejection. All the people on the dance floor, they're gonna see me get rejected. Right. Once again, it's interesting because you wonder, why did I lean towards daytime environments? Well, you think about it, although it's still very bold, and I'd argue even more bold than walking up to a girl on the dance floor. When I get rejected, oftentimes I never see those people again. Yeah. So that was a big one for me. It was like when I do get that bold, harsh rejection and the girl's not interested in me, usually I never see those people again. Versus like when I'm in a club or something and I end up trying to go chat to a girl and she wants nothing to do with me, then the people around me, at least in my mind, I'm like, well, they saw that and now they're still here dancing with me. Now I'm that guy who just got rejected and everybody can feel it. I don't know. Yeah, just not my environment. Just learning as I go, right? So that was kind of the lower points of the night, and then a couple positives, which is at one point the girl he was his ex Hinge girl, whoever she was, came back in the venue. They start dancing again, and then there was a girl that I assumed was her friend that was also like close to her, and so funny enough, I wonder if like me not knowing that this was a stranger actually worked in my favor because I just assumed it was her friend, right? And so he's my friend, and so we kind of have that connection already. So I put my arm around the girl, right? I hadn't said anything to her, hadn't spoken to her. I just put my arm around her, and I'm like, "Where's your friend been? Right? Where you guys been?" She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Your friend, right? Wait, you don't know her?" She's like, "No, I have no idea who that is." I'm like, "Wait, do you know him?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, okay, never mind. I assumed you guys were friends." So like we're saying all this, I'm talking in her ear, right? I got to be pretty close because it's a loud environment, loud venue. But my arms around her as I'm saying all this, I'm like, all right, let me tell you the drama that happened between these two. All right. And then I just start like making a bullshit story about this. I'm like, yeah, they met on Hinge, and then there was this crazy heartbreak where he cheated with her friend, and now they're together. I don't know. I didn't know the story at all, but I just started making shit up, and this girl was loving it, right? And then she ends up saying she has to go meet her friends, and so I take her number down, and then we'll get back to her later in the story. But and that was a small win, right? It was like, all right, cute girl, gave me her phone number. We talked about meeting up later. I was like, oh, all right, for sure, go meet your friends. I'll text you soon. We can meet up afterwards. Yeah. So that was like the biggest win of the night for me. I was like, okay, that felt good, right? I feel back to my normal self now. Um, but yeah, aside from that, then a lot of the friends that we were with just started trickling out. They started going home, and so it was just me, my friend that invited me out, and the girl that he found again. Remember, he met her on Hinge. Then they found themselves both in the same venue, and so I was kind of like third wheeling at this point. So at multiple points in the night, I told my friend I was just gonna go home. Right, I was like, all right, dude, I'm just gonna bus home now. And then he's like, no, no, stay, come on. And then he's trying to set me up. So I just tell the girl that he's with, I'm like, look, be a wing girl for me. Yeah. Like go, I want her I pointed at a girl. I'm like, I want her, come set me up with her. And then this is not what I had in mind, right? So what I had in mind was like we all kind of as a group dance near them, and then she like kind of brings them in, dances with them, and then helps me out, right? Guides them to me. But instead, what this girl was doing was like literally going to each girl that I would point at a girl, she would walk over to the girl. She would like start talking to her. I don't know what she was saying, but I assume she was saying something like, "Hey, I got a friend right here. He thinks you're cute, this and that. He wants to dance with you." Which, to be fair, that's better than nothing. But still, I was like, damn, that's kind of desperate. Like, I would have just walked over to the girl. I would have rather myself walk over and said that than you do it for me, right? I was thinking something more subtle, like we're all in a group together, and then she like grabs the girl's hand, pulls her in, and then all of a sudden I'm dancing with her. Like that. That's happened for me in the past, and I'm like, yeah, I was thinking something more like that, but that didn't happen. All right. To be fair, why am I relying on a girl anyways to help me get other girls? But I figured, hey, she's there. Let's use her as a tool, right? But then she does this one more time. This was the breaking point for me. She does this again. I didn't even point the girl out this time. Now this girl is literally just trying to help me get play, which I think is pretty cool. So shout out to her. But I just thought the method that she was going about it was pretty interesting because, yeah, she ended up walking up to a girl that was a little older, and then literally blatantly, like the girl turns around, right? And I'm dancing with my boy, kind of like, all right, this is awkward. I don't know why she has to talk to her like this. And then she goes, who, him? And she's like, yeah. And then I walk over and I'm like, yeah, me. And then she goes, how old are you? And I'm like, I'm 25. And then she goes, well, she says like, I'm 28 or something. I'm 28. And I actually like it when guys walk straight up to me and tell me their age rather than have their friend do it for them. And I was like, for sure. That's all I could take, dude. I just went home after that. I told my boy, I was like, all right, you know what? That's it. Like I've taken enough rejection for the night. Yes. Firstly, it's not even my fucking environment. But yeah, I'm just trash at night game. Hopefully you boys have heard this. Balthus is in the chat. What up? Belgian warrior out here. But yeah, I just took too much of a battering at that point. I was like, I just need to get out of here. So I thought the night was over. This is around 12 a.m. at this point. I walk to the bus stop. All right. I'm sitting down at the bus stop, licking my wounds, right? It's silent. I'm looking around. It's, the city is dying down now. And I remember the girl that I met earlier from the club or from that, that venue that we were at. And I remember that we were talking about maybe meeting up. So I text her. And this is real quick. Yeah. So I text her and I go, hey, where you at? And she says, I'm outside. So firstly, I thought it was sick that I even got a reply there, right? Because I was like, all right, well, a lot of times I get numbers from a girl at a bar or a club. I never hear from her again, right? I text her, never hear from her. So I thought that was sick. She replied right away. And so then I make up the story that I'm still outside of the venue too, right? So keep in mind, I'm thinking, oh shit, I might get laid. All right, I might end up fucking this girl. Nice. So I like scurry on back to the venue. I didn't even think my friend was still there with the girl. I assumed they had already left, right? So my plan was just to go back to the venue and kind of like post up outside, maybe bum a cigarette off somebody and pretend like I was there too, so that I could be like, oh, you're outside, I'm outside, sick. Let's meet up, let's go home. So of course, this is like drunk thinking, right? I'm like, oh, this would be the stars are aligning right now, right? So I scurry off back to the venue. Then I text her. I go. Oh, before I text her, my friend and the girl that he was with, they were still outside. They were actually smoking a cigarette outside. So I passed them, and then he grabs my arm, and I look back, and he's like, oh. I'm like, oh shit, you guys are still here. So I tell them the story. I'm like, all right, yeah. So a girl that I met earlier, she replied. So I'm gonna see if I could meet up with her. So I have a seat with them. So I'm thinking, perfect. There's like, it's me, a couple of friends. Maybe she'll come over. It'll be like a little double date action. And then that was the climax of the story, because after she said, I'm outside, then I tell her, oh, I'm outside of this venue. Come meet me. She doesn't reply. Like 5 minutes later, last ditch effort, I call her and she doesn't answer the phone. So I was like, all right, that's it. So I just delete the thread, delete her number. I'm like, yeah, that's about as far as it's going, man. Like, damn. I tried though, yeah. So so yeah, after that, then I literally just walked to the bus stop. This is where I pulled out my phone and I tell Joseph, I'm like, I reach out, I'm like, dude, you've been in the nightlife for so long. You were a club promoter. Like, just like give me a rundown here. What's going on? Because I go out and I find it very difficult to be loud. I find it, I don't like having to drink in excess, but I find that oftentimes I end up doing that because whoever I'm with, they insist that we drink more. And I don't really want to be a buzzkill and like, oh no, I'm good. So like I decide, all right, fuck it, yeah, I guess we're drinking some more, right? And it's just weird because like, I see myself in these daytime environments, and I've got a whole channel catalog of videos where guys can see me and think, wow, this guy's sick. Wow, this guy knows exactly what he's doing. Wow, this guy's a flirt. Oh my God, this guy's so good with girls. But it's like that same guy, you put me in an environment that I'm just not comfortable in. And it's like confidence tanks. Yeah. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Performance tanks, right? Confidence tanks, performance tanks, results tank. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. So a lot of the stuff that Joseph was saying was, one, you got to pick your environments. So he said that he doesn't go to these like frat, loud, boisterous kind of venues. Instead, he prefers going to a venue where there's like intentional dancing going on. Like he says, bachata, kazumba, these dances. Now, to be fair, I don't know any of these dances, but I imagine if I took a few lessons, I can get decent. And he says that's way easier because you don't have to be super loud and boisterous. You can just start dancing, and it's commonplace to just be dancing, right? Versus I told him in the message I sent over to him, I was like, dude, it just seems like loudest guy wins in these environments. Yeah, it's like it doesn't matter if the guy's the tallest guy, the most jacked guy. None of that shit seems to matter except if he can be very loud and I guess essentially have the most fun. And I was just finding it really difficult to have fun. Yeah, I remember in that venue in particular, before everybody kind of trickled out of the venue, I remember I was like sitting with all the people that I was with, but I was just sitting there facing the bar, looking at myself in the mirror. Yeah, with a beer in my hand, just thinking, what am I doing here? Yeah, like literally, what am I doing here? I'm terrible in these environments. I never get any results in these environments, anyways. To be fair, I was promised a chill night out where we were just gonna have a beer and talk, and all of a sudden, I end up getting ushered into these different venues, and now we're bar hopping, and now we're in this big, loud club venue, which that wasn't the plan at all, anyways. But then the last thing that Joseph mentioned was he was like, be easy on yourself, because realize that a lot of these guys were probably, he said this in his own eloquent British way, but he goes, essentially, a lot of these guys are probably really, really horny. Yeah. So they might be on a night out just trying to get laid by any means necessary. And they're treating every night out like that until they finally find the girl and get laid. Whereas you're not in a position where you're in a scarcity mindset. Oh my God, need to get laid. I was like, that was a great point, because I didn't even plan on going out, right? I was just, I finally finished the exam. I was just planning on hanging out on my own, right? Probably just watching YouTube or something. And I just got a text, earlier in the day that my friend wanted to go out. And so I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it. But that was a great point, right? It's like I wasn't even going out with the intention of finding a girl. But it's funny because when I'm out and I see hot girls, then all of a sudden, now the intention is, all right, let me find one of these girls then. Yeah. Because at first I was chilling, right? I wasn't horny. I was good. I was just hoping for a beer and a fun time. But turns out I'm in a venue, all these hot girls, tight dresses walking around, and now I'm like, all right, yep, let's get on it. Let's do it. Yeah, let's pull out the charm. So, all right, let's go through some of these comments here. So D1 says, I'm the same way, pretty reserved, and if I don't say anything funny or intelligent, I just don't speak. Yeah. Also, I have resting bitch face, so new people think I'm having a bad time or hate them. Yeah, I'm realizing, especially with this past night out, I think it really just is a matter of pick your poison, yeah, pick your venue. And for me, the nighttime scene, it just isn't my scene. Yeah, not to say it will never be, but for the skill set that I have right now, I am wasting my time in a nighttime environment when I can just go and find the girl while I'm walking down Market Street. Yeah, and walk over to her that way and go, wow, you look amazing. Let's go on a date. Yeah, it's like my success rate coming from that versus trying to go out and get drunk and yell and stuff, just night and day, right? So I think I should just stick to that. Odera says, yo, is the school still active? I requested to join a couple days ago, was referred from the wing bro. Oh, yeah, it is still active. Yeah, every now and then I don't accept people because they don't have a profile photo or a first name. So if you added a photo of yourself and your name, then I'll accept you in. But if your profile looks kind of like a troll or like anime art or like fake name, that kind of stuff, then I usually don't accept people. So I'll check the requests after this live stream. D1 says, the only success I've ever had in night game stuff was when I went straight into the approach immediately and just talked straight BS. I think maybe you are overthinking or hesitating a lot. Yeah, exactly. A lot of hesitation, dude. You're hitting the nail on the head right now. A lot of hesitation, dude. A lot of like seeing the girl, not knowing what to say, because it's funny because I'm autopilot in the daytime. I already know what to say because I just found something that works for me. I don't have to say anything else. I just walk over. I go, hey, you look great. Nighttime is a little different. I try that line a couple of times. They're like, okay, thanks. They go back to drinking their drink, or they're used to that. They're used to guys coming up and hitting on them. So I guess I just don't really know what to do in those environments. And I'm okay with not knowing, honestly. I'm making this live stream to make fun of myself and tell you, part of this live stream is to inspire also, because think about it. A guy who's cannot for the life of him get laid through night venues, going out at night, bars and clubs, still has a ridiculously sick dating life. So it's like, dude, it's proof that you need a lot less than you think. Like for me, I thought I would have to go through this whole like RSD training where I remember I would watch these guys religiously, right? RSD, to try to figure out how to get laid. But nah, you don't need that at all, right? You just need a big set of balls and the courage to walk over to the girl in public. And maybe for some guys that's too scary and they'd rather get drunk and go to the club and they find success that way. And that's great, right? Like I recommend they keep doing that, right? Because they're finding success through that method. But for me, I just never have, and so far I can't see myself winning that way. So I think I'll just stick to this method. Yeah. D1 says, I do agree with you though. These types of environments are not my vibe either. That's why I prefer the low key bar with pool or club where I can actually. Yeah, that's a great point, dude. I even said it. I suggested that. It got shot down so quick, right? We were in the group. We had the two girls with us still, and they're like, "Where should we go?" And I was like, "Oh, let's just go to a bar with a pool table." Right? That's my environment, right? My nighttime environment. I play pool, look sick playing pool, and then also usually there's not blaring music, so you could just actually talk and have a fun time and flirt that way. But yeah, it is what it is. And then D1 says, "Yeah, I recommend dancing to meet women recently." Oh, he says, "Yes, someone recommended dancing. I love doing couples dancing, so I should do some lessons." Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably get some lessons in at this, but it's like really, really right now, what I'm fighting with is prioritization, right? Like I'm ranking my prioritization. So I'm really just making this live stream to account for how lame I am when it comes to nighttime venues. I'm actually not too interested in improving my skill set in these areas because it's really not top priority right now. It's like for me, top priority is now that I've passed the exam, right? Before it was past the exam. Now that I passed the exam, it is absolutely bull rush through these job search materials so that I can land a better sales job. Ideally, fingers crossed, a remote sales job as quickly as possible. Yeah. So it's like I'm so thankful that this is my top priority because 2 years ago my top priority was get laid, right? So I always have to refocus on the live streams here, right? It's like think about it. 2 months ago, my top priority was make a live stream every day. Yeah, make a live stream every day. Don't touch weed. Work out, run a mile every day. Then I injured my back. My priority shifted, right? But now I've gotten to a point where I'm going to work, I'm clocking in, I'm just absolutely hating every second of it, which is funny because a couple months before that I was unemployed entirely and I was like, "Oh, I just need a job to help me." But this is just the human condition. Yeah, we're never satisfied. So right now the phase that I'm in is I've got a channel that is budding, right? My channel is like it has all of this potential, but it needs something to get to the next stage. So for me, what I see as the next stage is actually being in a position where I can coach guys. Yeah. And so one thing that I wish I could be more consistent with would be actual infield content, but I lost my filmer, So it's like if if somebody's able to film for me, otherwise I'm gonna have to figure that out. I think I'm just gonna have to go back to like the glasses videos for now, which honestly isn't a bad thing. That's not too bad of a thing. It's just it takes a lot of editing work. So like I have a lot of split priorities right now because like one, I can just kind of keep the channel where it's at with the kind of the content that I'm creating with every now and then I'll go on a date, do a date breakdown. But I'm like, all right, I'm kind of past that now. So, in my eyes, to get to the next level, I need to unlock more time and then more flexibility in my life, which would be if I can get a remote, at least a hybrid job. Maybe if I'm 3 days in the office, 4 days off, then I can take those 4 days and go take a trip somewhere, get content out there, infields out there, maybe meet somebody that I can coach out there, or somebody follows my content that lives out there and is like, dude, I'm out here, you can coach me, right? But as of right now, I can't do that. Even if somebody wanted, I've already had guys reach out to get coaching, and I'm like, either I'm gonna have to take time off of work, and they're assholes about that. You're a leasing agent, you gotta work weekends, right? So they're assholes about that already, making it difficult for me to take a weekend off. But or I have to coach somebody on a Monday or a Tuesday, and I'm tied to San Francisco or like surrounding cities, which sucks. Yeah, it's like, how do I build a business when I have such a inflexible, rigid schedule with my work? So I'm trying to get out of this job, get a remote sales job. Ideally, if it was remote, oh my God, that would open up the fucking world for me because I can make income from other countries. Like genuinely, if I got a remote job, I'm not even kidding, I'd probably stack cash for a few months. I might even just break my lease here. I just moved in like 2 weeks ago. I'd probably just break my lease and just start the nomad lifestyle. I'm not even kidding. That is like ideal. If I can get a remote sales job that allows me to work from anywhere, I would probably just do the Airbnb lifestyle, sell all of this shit in here. Yeah, have content for you boys from across the globe, and then also be flying to different places or having other people fly in so I can coach them up. So that's why I'm trying to focus right now. Right. Every now and then I get distracted with the night out. Guys are like, "Oh, let's go out, let's have a beer." And I'm like, how could I say no? Right. YOLO. But so I just wanted um, to mention, right, to reintroduce the reason I'm making the video, which is, I, you know, I appreciate the feedback, but I'm not even looking to get good in this area. I would like to. Don't get me wrong. It would be great if I was just completely well rounded. I can pull up anywhere and find a girl and meet a girl, and that's great. But like maybe in a different phase of my life, I'll be more interested in nighttime venues and going out at night and meeting people that way. But right now, it's like I don't want to spend a lot of money. I don't really want to put my focus there because I want to be focused on getting this new job. And every day, like I got work tomorrow. Every day I got to show up to work. I'm just pissed off. Right now, I'm biking to Bart and Barting, so it's like a little more difficult to get to work now because I don't have my car with me. So it makes it suck that much more. And I'm like, yes, right. I want it to suck as much as possible so that I force myself to get over this. Right, force myself to get into a new position as quickly as possible. So that's where we're at. Yeah. D1 says, "What's tough about editing?" Wait, D1 says, "What's tough about the editing part with the glasses?" It's just the blurring. That's it. Yeah, because you think when I do the infields, a lot of the time the person filming is behind the girl, so there's almost little to no blurring. But yeah, I guess you guys wouldn't know this. When I do the glasses ones, and I intentionally blur the faces, right? Because I don't want to be putting these girls on the internet without them knowing. So I'll blur their faces, and every time that they, because we're so close, every little head motion from me or from the girl means that the blur also must follow her face. And so I've already tried different methods where I'm like, how to make a blur track so it like automatically tracks. It doesn't work. So pretty much like every few frames, right? I'll go like 5 frames over, which accounts for like a 20th of a second. Then her face will move enough to where you could see half her face. So I got to move the blur over, and it's called a keyframe, right? So I got to keyframe it. So that's why you'll watch my videos and you'll see editing is pretty choppy because I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to spend 5 hours doing this perfectly. So I'll just do it enough. Yeah. So that's the main part, but that's not the best excuse, right? Yeah, I'll probably get back to that soon. I think really this is just my main priority. I'm not really doing much else aside from studying the course prior, and now it'll just be heads down applying. And then when I get bored of that, I just end up opening up YouTube and fucking binge watching some stupid stuff on YouTube, So it's like I kind of want that to stay the same though. I don't really want to shift. I don't want to add too many priorities to the bucket right now because I think top priority is very important. Get this new job as soon as possible, So anyways, boys, went for about an hour. I'm gonna go see my mom now. She made some chicken curry and potatoes. Excited about that. Gonna have myself a good meal. So love you boys as always. Of course, once again, I appreciate you for standing the test of time with me. I'm sure a lot of people have already dropped off and said, "Oh, this guy's channel is dead," whatever. At least compared to last month, it certainly seems that way. But the people that are actually watching the live streams and listening to what I'm saying, that I'm just investing right now. Yeah, investing a little bit of time away from the channel to in order to realize a big gain, which is a lot more time into the channel later on when I have a job that's more suitable. All right, boys. Love you as always. Appreciate you, D1, for joining. D1 was real active today. Mo as well. What up, Mo? And then Jay, but especially D1, dude. You were commenting all over the place. So I appreciate you. All right, boys. Love you as always. Speak with you soon. Going for your pro.